Erev Tov. Good evening, friends. I am so excited to talk Pirkei Avot with you this evening because we are learning one of my absolute favorite teachings, not just from the Mishnah, but from our whole tradition. So it's in two parts tonight. We're reading Pirkei Avot, chapter 2, Mishnahs 15 and 16. My favorite comes in 16, but we need 15 to understand the context. So, Rabbi Tarfon used to say, "The day is short, and the work is abundant, and the workers are lazy. But the reward is great, and the master of the house is insistent." Rabbi Tarfon also used to say, "It is not up to you, it is not your duty to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it." So let's unpack this a little bit. The day is short and the work is plentiful. What is this work? Is it the work of Torah? Is it the work of mitzvot, of good deeds? Is it the daily work of our lives? Rabbi Tarfon doesn't say specifically, but he does give us a little hint. Because when it says, Val habayit dochek, the master of the house is insistent, or persistent even, we're invited to imagine that he's referring to the ultimate master of the house of our lives and our world, who is, of course, God, which would make us the servants or the laborers or the workers for God's cause. So we can interpret that the labor is service to God in a very broad manner of speaking. One of the rabbinic ideas that might be connected to this is a phrase from our Aleinu prayer. Remember that word Aleinu. Aleinu means it is upon us. So keep that in your minds. We say it at the end of every service. And one of the paragraphs, which we don't always sing out loud together, says, Litaken olam b'malchut Shaddai, to heal or repair the world under the kingdom of God, or the realm or the sovereignty of God. So we have this notion from the rabbis that we have a responsibility, aleinu, it's upon us. We have a responsibility to heal the world. And some say litaken even means perfect. But how can we? How can we do that work, right? This Mishnah, Rabbi Tarfon says, Hayom katzar, the day is short, v'hamlacha merubah, and the labor is plentiful, abundant, perhaps never ending. I don't know about you, but that would be enough to send me in a tailspin. How are we supposed to perfect the world if we're physically, literally unable to do it all? So that's where the second teaching of Rabbi Tarfon, and my favorite one of all, comes to play. He says, Lo alecha, it is not upon you, you alone, in the singular. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. It is not incumbent upon you to finish the work. You alone, or I alone, or any one of us alone cannot accomplish that. It is impossible. The world is too complex and in some ways too broken for any one person to complete this work. But he doesn't only say, Lo alecha, it is not upon you to complete the work. He follows that thought by saying, Velo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena. But neither are you free to desist from this work. This is a galvanizing statement. I've always felt that way about this teaching. The first half makes you feel sort of like, wow, the whole weight of the world might be on our shoulders. The day is short and the work is abundant. And God is knocking at the door saying, hello, hello. You've got work to do. And it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like too much. And so Rabbi Tarfon says, no. Do not carry the weight of the world on your shoulders alone. Do not be like Atlas in the Greek myth. Don't carry it by yourself. Because even though I can't do it all by myself, and you can't do it all by yourself, and our friend over there can't do it all by themselves, and our neighbors and our family and strangers on the other side of the world can't do it alone. None of us is permitted, none of us is b'nei chorin, free. We are not free individuals who can say, no, we wash our hands of this responsibility. Each one of us has an obligation to engage meaningfully in the work of healing our world. And when each of us does our part, we start to chip away at the brokenness. I know that's a funny image. We chip away at the brokenness. We chip away at the task of healing. We each pick up a piece to put back together. And like a mosaic, which is made up of many broken pieces, we actually put together a new and beautiful picture of our world. And so that is why this is my favorite saying, because I find that it has application in so many contexts. And there's one other reason why we need not feel so overwhelmed by this notion of repairing the world, which is surprisingly the phrase that Rabbi Tarfon says, that Baal Habayit Dochek, that the master of the house is insistent. So if God is the master and God is insistent and persistent that we do this work, how does that help us not feel pressured? Well, I invite us to think about why. Why is God insistent that we do this work to repair the world? Isn't God the Almighty, the Creator, who made us and the heavens and the earth? So why would God rely on us, these lowly workers, who might be a little lazy, to do this work of perfecting the world? Well, I like to think that God is dochek, God is persistent about us engaging in this task, not because God needs me specifically or you specifically to fix the world, but because we are all in it together and God sees us as sacred partners in this work of creating, which is not just the first 6 days of existence, but the ongoing work of creation that we engage in together every day. It's easy to get overwhelmed because we live in a big, complicated, and often difficult world. But we don't have to take on the whole world every time. In fact, Rabbi Tarfon is teaching us we should not take it all on. We should start with something small. In a moment, we will count the Omer for this evening, but before we do, I'll share with you a musical setting of this wonderful teaching that has been one of my favorite tunes since I was little, and hopefully it will help inspire you to remember these words from Rabbi Tarfon. It is not upon you to complete the work of healing the world, but neither can we turn our eyes from it. We must engage. We must not desist. We must persist. And now for our counting of the Omer. Together we say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al Sefirat HaOmer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all worlds, who makes us holy with your mitzvot and has commanded us regarding the counting of the Omer. Hayom, Shmona Asar Yom, Shehem Shnei Shavuot v'Arba'a Yamim LaOmer. Today is the 18th day, making 2 weeks and 4 days of the Omer. And this evening, as we mark the transition from Yom HaZikaron, the day of remembrance for those who have been lost in Israel's wars, to Yom HaAtzmaut, the day celebrating Israel's independence, we also mark the transition from Kodesh LeKodesh, from a holy day to a different kind of holy day. And I wish you all Chag HaAtzmaut Sameach, Happy Independence Day.